All right, everybody, welcome to the I Disagree podcast. You know, I can honestly say the reason why we've named it I Disagree is because it's two words I believe that have not only changed my life, but we all wouldn't be sitting here if we didn't say I disagree. So here's basically what we stand for. In the past 3 years, there has been more disagreements, controversies, opinions, ideas, failed expectations, character reveals, surprises, disappointments, lies, beliefs, assumptions, and bullshit than ever before. Here we go. You guys ready for the first one?
Hey everyone, welcome to the I Disagree podcast. My name is Dana and I will be your host tonight. Welcome to everyone who is online. Thank you so much for being here on a Tuesday night with us. Please make sure that you are commenting, liking, and subscribing to our channel. We don't run ads on the show because we don't want to tell you about a bunch of products that we don't even use, and we don't want to have to answer to anyone. Doc actually fully funds this show all on his own, so it would help us out a lot if you would share the show with everyone you know. Before we get going, I'm going to make two quick announcements for those of you who do follow Dr. Patrick Flynn. His new book, I Still Disagree, was released this week. You can get it on Amazon in the Kindle form right now because the paperback sold out. But if you want the paperback, I believe you can still go to thewellnessway.com and purchase it there. And the other announcement for today is that The Wellness Way is having a leadership and longevity seminar Memorial Day weekend. Tickets are only $50 and they're bringing in some amazing speakers to talk about leadership and longevity. So if you are interested in personal growth, that would definitely be for you. It's in person here in Green Bay at the KI Center, but virtual tickets can also be purchased. Welcome to our guests who are here tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here and coming to hang out and have a conversation and talk about culture and just say all the things that you want to say. And thank you to our co-hosts for always being here, because I always just love hanging out with you guys and having a good time. So let's do introductions right away, because everybody has to know who everybody's talking to. I'll go first as our host, and then we'll do our co-host, and then we'll do our two guests. Let's do name, age, marital status, kids, career. If you have a business or a podcast or a product or anything that you want to promote, please be free to do that here, because we love capitalism on this show. So my name is Dana. I'm 35. I'm married with two boys who are 6 and 8, and sometimes best friends and sometimes just very mischievous and strong-willed. I don't know. We'll see how they turn out in life. But I actually went to school for accounting. I was a CPA for 10 years, and I worked on taxes. And then given my passion for natural health, I became a practitioner, and I now work with people more in the nutritional world. And because of that, that's how I kind of like got hooked up to Doc, and now we do this podcast. And I also have a social media account that everybody should be following called Dana Disagrees on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Instagram's where the biggest following is right now, but I have several viral videos that are out there just talking about men and women and relationships and polarity and supporting the patriarchy as much as I can. So Dana Disagrees on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Lorenzo, go ahead.
Lorenzo Tomas. I have a show on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. It's called Random Things You Need to Know. We have tons of episodes, and they are up right now. And make sure you guys check that out, and you can learn some information that you probably didn't know.
You never do all the things. I'm like, do this, and you're just like, no. Travis, go ahead. Show them how it's done.
Hey, everybody. That's it. I'm just kidding. I'm Travis. I'm 43. I work here at The Wellness Way, and my wife also does. We've been married 11 years as of about a week ago, so it's awesome. And I'm very thankful to be here. Previously, I was a youth pastor. That was pretty fun. Helps me bring some perspective when it comes to just sharing. And I'll try that tonight. We'll see if I can get anything to work. Maybe we'll talk about the eclipse a little bit. Who knows? But anyways, but no, I'm very happy to be here at The Wellness Way and be sitting in this seat and getting to talk to you all. And this is fun. This is my favorite thing, talking. So here we are.
You're good at it. Whitney,
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me. I am Whitney. I am 29 years old. I'm married 2 years, and we have a 16-month-old little boy. So happy he's in our lives, the bright shining light that we needed. I'm a stay-at-home mom. It was a dream of mine forever, so thankful that I can do that. And I just launched my virtual assistant business, Whitney Schmo's Business Collab, and I partner with businesses and entrepreneurs. I take those pesky tasks off their plate and really just allow them to grow. So if you're ever in need of something, reach out.
Yep. Say your name again and then spell it so that anybody who's looking knows how to look you up.
Yeah, Whitney Schmaus. Last name is Schmaus, just like house, Schmaus.
Oh, nice. I probably didn't
Another
actually
Schmaus
even know
in the
that.
house.
Yeah.
That was our hashtag. So
Nice. Nice. Go ahead. Last but not least.
Hi, I'm Justin Grabko. I'm 41 years old. My wife and I have been married to be 8 years in September on Labor Day weekend. I live in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, so I have quite a bit of drive to the area every day, but my wife and I are going to be moving to the Fox Valley area hopefully by the end of this year. I'm what they call a client success manager for a home improvement company called Happy Home Remodeling. So yeah, my boss told me I had to wear this shirt while I'm out here.
Nice little plug.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's just it was just me and just trying to be comfortable and such. Yeah, and what we do is that we're a very Christian-oriented, faith-based company too. We lead with values too. We also have a bunch of people that lead with those types of integrity and values too. And thankful to be a part of it. We're also real estate investors in the area also too. So we try to improve people's lives in that way also.
Awesome. Nice. Cool. Well, this podcast started with the two words, I disagree, because they have been a huge catalyst in Dr. Patrick Flynn's life. And so we just wanted to take those words, turn them into a podcast, and invite people to come to the table and share their opinions about culture and politics and money and religion and men and women and all the things that are going on around the world, because we just want to be able to give everybody a platform to be able to speak on. And so last summer, before we even started this podcast, Doc and I were sitting around thinking about, like, okay, what's the vision and what's all this going to look like, and we wrote this down. In the past 4 years, there have been more disagreements, controversies, opinions, ideas, failed expectations, character reveals, surprises, disappointments, lies, beliefs, assumptions, and bullshit than ever before. And the purpose of the I Disagree podcast is to correlate with Doc's Saturday morning show called A Different Perspective on topics related to health, men and women, politics, religion, all of the good things. Now, before we get going, we always make a point on the I Disagree podcast to talk about the difference between rules and exceptions, because when we are making statements here and talking through different issues, we want to try as much as we can to focus on the rules, the general rules of the situation. Because normally when you're talking to somebody, they always want to go to the exceptions, and the exceptions can certainly be very important, but we want to be able to stick to the general rule first and kind of hash those things out, and then look to the exceptions later on, if they even are still applicable. So if we see you talking about exceptions, or if I do it, because I tend to do it sometimes too, we try to call that out as much as we can. Okay, so here is how the game works. I will make a statement that I agree with, and then everybody will get to go around the table, and you get to say two words. You get to say I agree or I disagree. And then we'll go around again, and you'll get to explain why you agree or disagree. All right? All right. I will say the statement twice. A good spouse isn't concerned if you skip dinner with the in-laws. A good spouse isn't concerned if you skip dinner with the in-laws. Justin, agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Whitney?
I agree.
Lorenzo?
I agree.
All right. Travis?
Agree.
All right. Justin, go ahead. Go ahead and explain why you think the way you think.
Well, I disagree to that notion because basically based on experience, I found that there's certain people in my family that don't have a very good relationship with their in-laws, and I believe also that having a good relationship with your in-laws and spending that time with them makes everything healthier. It makes everything just better within the marriage, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
In a simplified manner.
Why do you think it makes it healthier?
Well, it makes it healthier because you develop that relationship with your spouse's family. You try to find their likes, their dislikes, and also just being comfortable and having those tough conversations with them too. It just helps build relationships in that manner also.
Yeah. Are you able to actually have those like tough conversations, right? Because we're all conditioned to think that you shouldn't talk about like politics and religion when it's the holidays or whenever you're getting together with family. Are you actually able to do that in your family or your extended family?
With most of them, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it obviously makes things a lot more comfortable. You have more respect for each other. And yes, it's definitely having those tough conversations, whether I disagree with them, politically, religiously, financially, whatever it is. Yeah, it just helps us grow.
Yeah. Great. Whitney, go ahead. What do you think?
So I agree with that statement. I think that there's a reason why, and I think we have to take a step back. If you don't want to go to dinner with your spouse's family, why is that? And I don't think we should be forced to do something that we don't want to do. And I think that culture has kind of put that on us. Like, we're forced to do things just because that's how it is. And I feel like as a spouse, I want to feel comfortable to take a step back and say, hey, I don't want to go. And that should be fine. That shouldn't threaten our relationship in any way just because I don't want to do something that you want me to do. I don't think I should be forced to do that. And I think that, again, culture has kind of put us in that box that we have to do something just because that's what's right to do.
Where do you think like the line is though? Because sometimes things with family can get really touchy and things with in-laws can get really touchy. And sometimes in life, we do have to do things that we don't like to do. Right. So where do you think that line is of I just don't want to go versus these are not the people I want to surround myself with and that's why I'm not going, or I have something better to do, like what if your husband was like, no, I'm not going to dinner with your family or I'm not getting together with them because I need to work because we need to work on our finances? Like where are those lines?
Right. And I think that is the hard part, is there are going to be those gray lines too. And I think that you as a couple just kind of have to figure that out. So as an example, I come from a family where we didn't get along with both sides of the family. And I was put in, quite frankly, toxic relationships because I had to be there because they were family. And so I had to take a step back and figure out like, hey, what's the path that I want to go down and how do I want to surround myself with, who do I want to surround myself with? And I think that that's the hard part. And you just have to, as a couple, kind of figure that boundary out. And it's going to be different for every couple.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
And do you think, is your more emphasis on you should figure that out then as a couple versus like if you don't get along with his family, you're not going to do anything and he can go do whatever he wants? What do you think about like that? Because it's one thing if you're deciding it together. Right. It's another thing if you're deciding it separately.
Right. And I think that, again, the communication piece is huge because they should, as a good spouse, should see why you don't want to do something. And again, if there's the toxic relationship piece in there, like that's something that they have to understand and that you have to work through as a couple. Like, hey, I don't want to go there because this person makes me uncomfortable, or, I don't like this person, how they talk to me. Like, there has to be that bigger conversation. Right. And I think it kind of stems from that.
Yeah, it's good. Renzo, go ahead. Or do you want to go last? I know you like to go last because you like to pick everyone apart.
No, I don't want to pick anyone apart.
Okay, all right. I'm just,
Hey, first you say I'm not following the rules. Now you're saying I want to pick people apart.
Both truths.
Feeling very attacked today, you know. This is very attacking.
Yeah, well.
Whatever. I'm gonna pick you apart in a few minutes. I'm not gonna
Go
follow
right
any
ahead.
rules as usual. So then you're right. This is two truths.
Right.
But I agree only because you are not marrying the in-laws. You are marrying that person. So the in-laws are not. It shouldn't matter, as Whitney said, whether or not you get along with them or not. It should just matter as long as you and that other person have that relationship where you all understand why the issue with the in-laws exists. I don't like anecdotal stuff. I hate it because I think that it's pointless. But I'm going to be anecdotal. So breaking all the rules, breaking my own goddamn rules, breaking my rules. And so what I know in my family, my mother had a strong issue with my father's side of the family. Very much so. And not that she had an issue with them. They had an issue with her, right? But they had an issue with all of my father's brothers' wives. And it's 17 of them. He's the youngest of 17. So all the women had a problem with all of the brothers' wives. So my mother had people that she could talk to, like her sister-in-laws, who were like, oh yeah, they hate all of us. They for some reason, they love the men, but they hate us. The men could cheat, and they'd be like, well, you probably deserved it, bitch. You had it coming. All that cooking and cleaning and being a wife and
Barefoot and pregnant? I mean,
you had it coming, bitch. So and even now they do this with like my cousins. Like I have a cousin, he cheated on his wife, and then his wife was friends with the cousins, and so they all got involved in his life, and they don't know anything about me. They think, I'm famous. That's what they think. I'm famous. Yeah, that's what they think. And I keep telling them I'm not. I am class like celebrity Q-list celebrity, like at the bottom. And so when they tell me about these issues, I'm always like, see, this is why my mother stayed away from this stuff, because it's toxic. And if my father's really close to his family, right? He'll still go around. He doesn't care. His thing is that I just want to make everybody happy. So I want her to be happy. So if she doesn't want to be around these people, I'm not going to make her come around them. Plus, he sees how they are with his other sister-in-laws. So he's like, well, I get the problem. I know where it comes from. I know what the issue is. And so he doesn't make her come around. I mean, my mother threw a 50th birthday party for my father, a big secret surprise party for him. It took everything in her to call these people, to get photographs. I mean, she was like, I do not want to call them. It's like she was sending me like, go to your aunt's house. They'll do it for you. And she always said, the one thing that was important to her was making sure that she never impeded on my relationship with my family. She said, this has nothing to do with you. They got an issue with me. She said, so you though, they love you and your father. So I want you and your father to have the best relationship with them ever. And so they've always been like very positive towards me and my dad, but I've seen it. And so I understand in-laws should not be a part of the immediate marriage. It should be, I get mom and dad, I get like, your parents, you might want to try to work on a real strong bond with them. I get that. But like sister-in-law, brother-in-law, I mean, I come from a family where my father's sister-in-law is a crackhead.
you don't want a good relationship with her?
Do we? Do we want a good relationship with a crackhead? And he has a good relationship with her. I mean, he doesn't treat her bad, but he's like, yeah, I gotta watch her ass, cause shit, she come over here, shit gonna come up missing, cause she gotta smoke crack. So but I that's why I'm saying I just think that the whole in-laws and a good marriage and a good marriage situation, it shouldn't even matter that those in-laws are not getting along with anybody. It should be all about them, and everybody should understand why that's happening. And that's why. So
awesome. Travis, go ahead.
Mine possibly might be shorter. I don't know. We'll see. But I think with Sarah, I threw her dad physically out of the house 8 years ago. So we haven't had to worry about any dinners in the last 8 years. But I think that's an exception situation. I don't think a lot of people are used to throwing their in-laws, nor did I want to, for the record. But previously, before Sarah, we went to her parents every single Sunday. So I went from one extreme to the next. And I can tell you this, that if it was up to me, it would be sometimes. And I don't know if that's the answer, if that makes it any better, but one thing's for sure, I think that this should not be a factor of weighing if you're a good or bad spouse. I think that's something that I'm okay with. It's a good statement because honestly, although I don't think it should be one that's gauged, I think it is. And I think people, especially, on the woman's side, especially, they really put a lot of pressure on the man to do that. I'm not saying that you do that or you do that. I'm just saying I've noticed that it's more important to them. I think I can go longer without seeing my parents, even though I love them equally. I love them both very much, but I don't need to see them as much as every Sunday. That's 2 hours of my week gone just doing something I pretend to like. I mean, sometimes I did. There was a reason, but again, back to the sometimes. I'll end there.
I like how you pointed out that it tends to be a little bit more important to women because I talk about this almost every podcast that when we look at men and women and how they normally behave and how they prioritize. They tend to prioritize differently because the core of the masculine is his mission. So he's prioritizing work and like his freedom and things much higher than his relationship, even his relationship with his woman, but just relationships in general. But the core of the feminine is radiance and intuition and love, which is ultimately the relationship, which is why she prioritizes those relationships, even if they're like in-law, parent, type relationships. She prioritizes them a whole lot more. That's why lots of times too, I don't know like stats on this. I mean, this is just kind of like hearsay, but I'm pretty sure that typically kids tend to be a little closer with mom's parents, like as grandparents. It's because moms foster like the relationships. And so even the grandparents tend to be affected by that. But anyway, so obviously I made the statement, so I agree with it, and I even wanted to think about it a little more broadly than just dinner, because it's one thing to just not want to go to dinner and not have like a meal with somebody, but what about the broader scheme of things? What about the holidays? What about just how you're behaving in relationships in general? Because I think about my life, and I thought this was normal, but maybe it's not. I mean, there was one holiday. So when my side of the family has to get together, it takes a little bit of planning because we're a little bit more spread out than what my husband's side is. But on my side, one Christmas, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, we decided we were actually going to do Christmas the weekend before Thanksgiving because that's just when it worked out for everyone. And I found that out, and that's just kind of what worked for most people. And I immediately went to my husband and was like, hey, like, we're doing it the opening of hunting season. You do not have to come. You can go hunting if you want, and like, don't worry about like, and he was like, yeah, no, like, I'm going to go hunting. And I think a lot of women would be really mad about that because why would you go hunting over like seeing family? And I'm kind of like, why would you make him go see family when hunting is something that's super, super important to him, especially living in Wisconsin? We're in Wisconsin, for just so everybody out there in the internet remembers. But, like, I think about things like that. Like, it's bigger than just dinner. Are we supporting what our spouses want to be doing? My husband's a CPA. So like, I was a CPA, and that's, how I met him and everything. But he's balls to the walls busy January 1st through April 15th. So that pretty much means we never do Easter. And we don't get mad about that because, well, that was the career choice, right? And so there's no obligation. I'm not trying to obligate him to go do Easter with my side of the family. He's not trying to make me do that with his side or anything. There also was a time, I think it was like 1 or 2 summers ago, that my sister lives in Ohio, so it's a lot harder to see her being out of state. And so she makes a trip home every summer, like in July and stuff. And so the rest of us, make an effort to be available whatever weekend that is so we can all get together and stuff like that. Well, the weekend that she was coming home, he was planning to be gone, just helping a friend build a cabin. I say just, but it's actually like kind of a big deal because he and his friends and his family, like they do that stuff together. But again, the one time my sister is going to be around and the maybe second time all year that my whole family gets together, and you don't see me whining about him like going and building a cabin or anything. So I think this statement, I mean to look at it even broader than just going to dinner. It's a much broader conversation than that. It's how are you supporting each other and all of those other pieces that get worked in, and then the extended family just tends to be a pressure point for a lot of people.
Well, in your situation, right? So
Yeah.
your sister is coming to see you.
Mm-hmm.
She's coming to spend time with you.
Well, the family in general, but yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But more so, arguably, yes, more so me than my husband, right?
Right. So in that situation, I get the whole like it shouldn't even matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't even matter to her. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there are individuals who do that would upset them that
Greatly.
you didn't want
Right.
to spend time with their sister.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, that would be
right. And the rest of my family's coming, so why wouldn't you wouldn't you be here? And some people would probably feel like really stupid about it, like if they have to go to a holiday or something like that on their own. And I get that, but then it's kind of like what you were saying, Whitney. It's like you gotta have that communication. You gotta figure out how you're gonna work in all of those things. I want to know, with this statement, and then also thinking about it a little bit more broadly, I want to take it in a direction of, okay, how does your financial situation factor into this? Because what if you are skipping family functions because you are doing it to build your business, to take extra client calls, to work on weekends because you're trying to get caught up from the week, right? Because it's a grind if you actually want to be successful in life. So how does that factor in to seeing your family? You can go ahead.
I would just say I think it depends on the other half, not the parents. If they can't understand that, there's people out there, especially with Bidenomics, where maybe going across town it ain't cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not.
Going across
right?
town is not cheap.
Right? Or what if you're the one hosting? You know, you got to buy extra groceries. Like, there's a lot of reasons why people might be holding on for dear life until the next paycheck. You know, but it really comes down to the other half and how they perceive it and how they accept it or decline it, basically. So it really shouldn't come down to the parents. Parents are going to whine about something no matter what, although we love them, right? They're going to find something else. But yeah, it really should come down to your spouse.
Right. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think, Travis, that's 100% true. You know, from my perspective, being a stay-at-home mom nowadays is not cheap, but we chose that path as a couple and we chose that for our family. And I think that my spouse is really good about that. He understands that, and he's going to work overtime if he can, because we need that extra cash, or we want to go on vacation and things like that. So again, I think it comes down to the communication between the couple, and the outsiders just kind of got to stay out of it and really allow that couple to flourish, and they have to support each other.
Right. Justin, what do you think? Because you originally disagreed. Like, what do you think what do you think about the money piece of it, like I brought up, and then what do you think after hearing everybody go after you?
Well, I can see all the exceptions, and I definitely can see the exceptions because of what you were saying with the toxicity, and some of the people in the family have their problems and the way they act and such, and you want to set those boundaries to not be involved in that. Right. I agree 100%. You know, I have certain relatives in my family, and we all do that hey, you know, we got to set those boundaries, set those healthy boundaries. Like, no, I don't want to be near that. Nope, that's toxic to me. Yep, and that's healthy. That's very healthy. And with the financial standpoint, you would have to think that, you know, a supportive family, extended family, would understand that without the judgment, without the ridiculing and such, and just say, hey, I see all the time, like, why wouldn't you come out? Oh, it's getting a little expensive. Oh, hodgepodge, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. And they don't know the physical situation. Right. And in my opinion, you know, it is really none of their business. Right. But I would think that, you know, an understanding family would realize that, like, okay, well, you know, some people would say, well, I pray that things come around for you. And I hope things come better for you, or go ahead, take care of your family. And there's always other times for us to get together when you feel comfortable and when things are right.
How many families do you think are what you're saying, where like they do actually understand? Like, do you think that's the rule, or do you think that's an exception that they understand? Because people are interesting, and people across states are interesting, and family dynamics are interesting. So how like, maybe, you know, what percent of families do you think would understand and not like be mad that you weren't coming to some holiday, or, you know, something like that? Well, you know what I'm getting at?
Well, yeah, I would, to be honest,
ballpark,
I would think that a small percentage of families would understand that, because face it, as human beings, we're naturally selfish. We're naturally self-gratifying, and we look at, you know what's best. You know, it's for me right now. It's not about you, it's about me. And if people would explain that right there too, sometimes people would dig deeper and think, and that's not really the reason why. Is it because they don't like us? Is it because they have a problem with us? And they start digging deeper, and they start having these negative thoughts in their brain about it. But what if it was true? What if they are being real with you, saying like, hey, you know, you've got to work some overtime, and such times are tight, times are tough. Or like what you all said too about hunting. It's like that in my family too. When I was a kid, during Thanksgiving, all of us guys would go hunting, even though it's a big family day. You know, we're out hunting until about, 3, 4, 5 o'clock at night. And we come back in our blaze orange and hanging out, having dinner with the family.
Yeah, right. Then how would you talk about, because if the majority, let's just say the majority of families maybe like don't understand why you wouldn't want to come over, what would you say when you get the pushback of, well, family's the most important thing? Because you know that people use that all the time, whether they actually mean it and are trying to use it sincerely, or whether they're meaning it to try to guilt somebody. What do you think about that?
Well, when you get that kind of pushback,
Yeah.
my response is, you're right. My family is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. What you got?
Well, I know that. So, like, back to all anecdotal with me with this one.
This is a pretty anecdotal statement.
Well, I don't care. I'm breaking all the rules.
Okay,
so
good. I don't like rules.
But so you tried to lay some rules down on me earlier. You laid rules down on everybody at this table earlier.
It's guidance.
Oh, guidance
Guidance.
rules. What's the difference? Anyway, so in this situation, my mother never went around to any events, and my father told him flat out, she don't want to come. That's it. That's why she not here. She don't want to come. So that's it. We don't have to have all that excuses being made, and it doesn't matter what you think. I told you she don't want to come. So you can assume she don't want to come because she don't like you. You can assume she don't want to come because she busy. You can assume she don't want to come because she doing something with our son. You can, he's here too? Oh, well, you can assume she ain't want to come because her ass just didn't want to fucking come. She just didn't want to deal with y'all. Now, if my father wasn't at an event for my mother's side, they totally got, he's working. Like, they understood totally. He's working. We know. We see that man work. We know he work. We know where y'all live. Clearly, that man is working. And they had a different level of respect for my father, too. It wasn't the same on my mother's side as it was on my father's side. They were very embracing of my father. Like, they really loved him like a brother. So it was no issue. So when he wasn't there, he got to be working. Because my father would try to make it to those things also. My mother wouldn't waste her time. She's like, for what? Unless I have to be there, like a funeral. Somebody passed away, right? It's one of the nieces, and it's one of the nieces that's, she's okay, but she had a baby or something, a wedding. But my mother's not going to barbecues for 4th of July. No. She's not going to the baptismal. No. She's not going to Sunday dinner at Ethel's house. Absolutely not. I will not be eating any of that food with those people. We just getting together. Somebody's birthday. Happy birthday to that person. I will not be there. So I think that once the boundaries were set, there was no need for anyone to ask anything about where's Lola. Lola's not here because Lola doesn't want to be here. Period.
Do you know what they say about assuming things makes an ass out of you and me?
You guys, actually, you both mentioned boundaries, so I was going to come back to this. And I'm not saying that, like, this is what your mom was necessarily doing, but sometimes people with boundaries, they can have such good boundaries that they're bad. And so do you think that ever happens? Because what if it turns to, well, I just never do anything unless it's beneficial for me? Where's the line then? When, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think my mom did things that were beneficial for my father. If my father felt like you needed to be there, then she would
then
go.
It was okay. It wasn't just all her saying,
because,
I don't want to be there.
Yeah, because it was beneficial for her would have been, I will never show up to any of these things. People die, they die.
It's true.
People have it's Christmas. Well, there'll be another one next year. Jesus is coming back. Yeah, so you'll be fine. So my mother, if it was up to her, then she wouldn't have went to any of them. But if it meant something to like of course, when my grandmother died, my father's mother died. Of course, she went for that. When my father's brother got stabbed, and she understood. Well, that's you all. Out of the 17 of you all, this is the one who's 2 years older than you. So you all are kind of like Marlon and Michael Jackson. You guys are like that close.
Yeah.
So okay, so she gets that, right? So okay, I'm gonna be there for that. But cousin Bobo died. Oh well, bye, cousin Bobo.
Oh man. Whitney, what do you got? You were writing something down.
Yeah, I think that you made a really good point, and I just wrote down that when it means something to your spouse, you go. Because, like, for me, I think about that all the time too. Like, okay, if my husband really wants me to be there because it's an important function, or it's, you know, something he hasn't seen a relative in so long, like, I'm gonna make it a point to be there if I can be, and it makes sense for our family because he's important to me. And I think that again comes down to the communication between you and your spouse, and that can differ for everybody, but you make things a point when it's important to someone you care about too. And I think, like, back to the toxic piece I was talking about, like, if somebody makes you feel toxic, why would your spouse put you in that situation to be around them? So it kind of goes both ways.
Right.
You know, I can't help but just comment on this. So my previous relationship before Sarah, great parents. They were outstanding. But they had this tradition, routine, Sunday nights. So 6 p.m., or 5 p.m., whatever it was. I can't remember. It's been a long time. And we're having dinner. And I'm sorry, but you got the dad, father-in-law, and you know, and the mother-in-law, and they are just cranky. Why? Because we all got to work tomorrow. I think we all kind of want to start gearing towards the next step, not sitting pretending to have fun. Like, why can't we have a different routine? You know, why is it like I'll even take lunch? But I'm sorry, but the last thing I want to be snuggling with my wife. You know, maybe watch the movie that I want to watch, eat the meal that I want to eat. If I even want to eat one, sometimes I just skip.
Right.
But
Right.
to
Well,
sit
like,
there,
it's Sunday night, so you're like mentally preparing for the week.
bingo.
And you're like at
I'm
home,
already,
like you're
you
that's
know,
what you're doing.
Yeah, you reflect on Saturday what happened or Friday night, and then you get back into it Sunday. You start thinking about it, you know. And the last thing, at certain points, you just got to pump the brakes and relax. And oh wait, maybe enjoy your spouse yourself instead of everybody else
did they
getting
work
it.
on Monday? Were they retired?
They weren't retired at the time. No, this is
Oh,
long. This
okay.
is like early 2000s, whatever. And they did that. They still do it to this day. And I'm going, I love the family dynamic. That's pretty cool. I mean, but it needs to be a sometimes thing, and I should be okay to walk away. I used to not be okay. We only lived 3 houses down. I felt the heat in the back of my head, and I was walking away. And yeah, I tried that a few
Laser
times.
pointer
I tried that
in
mistake a
the
few times, but I
yeah.
also didn't have any cojones back then either. But
Right.
yeah, it's got to be beneficial. It can't just be an obligation, because then you're just gonna resent each other, and you're all wasting your time. But I'm telling you, I said it.
Right. Lauren, so okay, you said that was it on your mom's side? If your dad wasn't there, they knew he was working.
Yeah,
Or-
on my
right,
mom's side.
Right, on your
Yeah.
on your mom's side. Okay.
Yeah.
And so your mom's side seems like they were pretty understanding that, well, yep, like he's just working.
Yeah.
So kind of like going back to where I said before, like how many families actually really understand that and are like okay, because they seemed like they were okay with that. Like, yeah, he's just always working, but I feel like lots of times too we see, oh, well, like that person's always working and they never make time for family, and then, you know, and then they complain about it and stuff. So how?
See, I think a lot of that comes from like the dynamic that already exists there before these people even have come into this situation. Like with my father's side, there was already this negative dynamic. Before my mother came, they were already negative to the sisters-in-laws before my mother.
Yeah.
Right. So it was only and it was all like physical stuff, right? You know, these are all, my uncles are all getting little petite women, and my aunts are kind of bigger girls, but they're not, you know, fat and ugly. They just, you know, bigger girls, and you know, so they a little jealousy, right? You know, it's a little bit of jealousy, but they would have this issue with these women. None of these women were like particularly good enough. You're not really who we are, our pick, right? If we could have picked a woman for our brothers, it wouldn't have been you whores. So all of you are whores. And your children are beautiful. We love them all. They are all angels. God, Jesus' blessings right here came from these devils. But I mean, just I mean, that's how they work. But on my mother's side, they were like, I mean, maybe they were like a little bit more like rough, right? So it was a little bit different. Like my mom was fighting people, and you know, it was, you know, criminals, but not so much like nobody's like a big kingpin or nothing. You know, people are just, you know, petty doing stuff, and they kind of rough, right? They a little bit rougher, right? And it's all women. So when my father comes, it's like oh, this guy is like the brother we never had, the man in our life that we never had, but he's with our sister, but he takes her away. They moved to the suburbs. So he seemed like a good guy who probably would be working. That's why he can't be around. Whereas on the other side, they're like, oh, she's not coming because she's a wench. She's Scarlet. That's why she's not coming.
Well, and that's funny because that's that men and women dynamic too. Where like men, like it's just totally okay that they're like busy working and they can't be there, and then but then women, no, she's just a bitch. That's why.
Because it's 17 of them, right? So I have a bunch of uncles.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, all my uncles totally understand. They'll just come to the house, right? And then they'll come and see my mother and be like, oh, you know, I ain't seen you in a while. And when my mother would see those sisters-in-laws, of course, it's a different dynamic because they all have this bond where the sisters do not like them. So they all have a bond with each other that's like a sisterhood. So it was, you know, it was strange. But I think all that in-law stuff, it never messed up my parents' situation because my father recognized, and I think that's it. The dynamic was already set in place. And with my father being 26 years younger than his oldest brother, and I think 28 years younger than his oldest sister, he had tons of time to see, okay, so y'all don't like her, y'all don't like her, y'all don't like her, and you don't like her. So he grew up seeing how this is ridiculous. This is, y'all just gonna be like this.
Yeah.
Where my mother grew up in a different dynamic where the men are not really around. So I think it's the dynamic was already built there that my father was going to come into a situation where they were going to embrace him no matter what, because he was a good guy. So they were going to embrace him. Whereas my mother's family was already my father's family was already toxic women. So they were not going to embrace any woman. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I got actually a question for you. It came from our chat group.
Okay.
Somebody wants to know if it's cheaper to be a stay-at-home mom or to go work full-time and use daycare.
It's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I thought so too. I know it's kind of a little curveball there,
Yeah,
but
no,
you know
that's
what?
good.
When we try to interact with the
Yes,
audience.
thank you for watching that, by the way, because mine is not on.
You know, I think it depends on the lifestyle that you choose to live as your family as well. So our family, for example, we try to live a very clean, holistic lifestyle. We all know organic food is not cheap, right? So and it's super unfortunate, but I think that you prioritize those things in life if that's what's important to you and your family. So I think if we're doing apples to apples, it's probably a financial burden to be a stay-at-home mom, but for what it brings me and my family by keeping our son at home and influencing him rather than other people influencing him, I think that it's a win for us.
Yeah. The
If
benefits
you're happy,
aren't
that's-
just monetary.
Yeah, it's not
Wait a minute.
exactly.
It's
not
what you
monetary.
wanted too, so this is a good thing, right?
Wait a minute. Are you saying you don't like the Marxist education in the U.S. Department of Education is shelling out?
Tough question.
What? What? That is the best education you're gonna get right there. It's fantastic. We all came through it.
Yeah.
Barely.
Did
But
we, though?
also,
did
like,
we come through it?
Look at what's going on around with
That's
people
why we're here
our
talking,
age.
right?
Yeah.
Like, we maybe are okay, but society as a whole is a little.
We all came through
different.
it. We all came through the Marxist Institute, the Prussian learning institutions. We all went through them. Look at us. Look,
Yeah.
proud Americans right here.
Sure. Okay. Man.
Wonderful segue to the second statement.
I know, right? Right, man. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this first statement before I actually do move on to the second one, which is somewhat semi-related?
That's not what I wanted to say.
Yeah? We good?
I think we're good.
I will move on then. So, second statement. Same rules as the first one. We'll say I agree and I disagree, and then we'll talk about it. A person's credentials don't matter anymore. A person's credentials don't matter anymore. Justin, go ahead.
I've been going back and forth on this one, but I had some deep thought about this earlier, and I am going to say I disagree.
All right. Whitney, what do you think?
I agree.
I thought you might. Lorenzo, what do you think?
I definitely agree.
Good. Travis?
Disagree.
Oh, okay. All right. Justin, go ahead. You can lead off again.
Well, I believe that credentials can come from many different aspects, whether it's the experience, the education, the definitely, social stature, where you come from. And that's the reason why I disagree, is because all of that matters to who you really are as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much the reason why I disagree, and it definitely matters.
What if we changed it and it wasn't a person's credentials? Because now that you're saying that, like, I'm thinking about how this is worded and everything, and credentials can just mean like your qualifications and, and that's pretty broad in general. Mm-hmm. If we change it to like a person's degree doesn't matter anymore, then what would you say about it?
I would say a person's degree does not matter anymore, primarily because the statistics, when you graduate from college, I believe it's somewhere around 25% of people who graduate from college actually find a job that is related to their degree.
Oh, really? Mm. Why is that? I heard that too. Why is that though? Is that because there's just not something in their field, or they'd have to travel to another state for it? Or why is that even happening? Or is it because of like bullshit degrees that you can't find something in French history from 1452?
I think that in the 1980s and the 90s, there was a huge emphasis on getting degrees.
Yeah.
And so everyone was getting degrees, and they were getting degrees in particular fields. But then somewhere around like 90s to like 90, maybe the millennium, it became get a degree and you'll get a job. And so social service organizations started opening up, and you can go and get yourself a 24, 25, and so we're talking 95. So for those people out there who are like 24, 20,000, where the fuck does he live? This is 1995. So and Friends is on. Turn it on. And so in 1990,
People still got perms, I think.
I'm about to turn on some Seinfeld. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. I was in kindergarten. I graduated kindergarten in 95.
That's disgusting.
Star Trek
No,
Next Generation.
it's true.
I believe I was
It is.
12.
Saved by the Bell.
Anyway, so
Saved by the Bell. Oh.
But I think that's the problem. I think that now the degrees don't matter. Plus the jobs are not here. Mm-hmm. A lot of the jobs are gone, or they're low level, which is the same. So they've stayed the same. Social service positions still exist, but now now everyone has a liberal arts degree instead of something in a specific trade or field or something specific. Because those fields for specific degrees are still hiring. Engineering, being a surgeon,
Or like electrician.
oh yeah, technical degrees. Those places are still, you're gonna get hired for that, but you're not gonna get hired with a degree in cock studies. There is
Gender studies.
Cock studies. There's nobody. Well, okay, maybe a urologist.
Chickens?
Well, there you go.
What about-
Work on the farm?
Cock studies, chickens.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what you meant,
Roosters, specifically roosters. The focus is specifically on roosters.
Wait, what about lesbian dancing?
Wait a minute.
That is a degree.
That is a degree,
Yeah, it's
sir.
a degree.
That is a degree.
What do you guys think about that,
That
huh?
is not a degree.
That is
I
a
hire-
degree.
Hey, as someone who graduated from college as a lesbian dancer, with a degree.
Dance theorist.
Yes.
Yes, because it's lesbian
Theorist,
dance
yes,
theory.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
a
I love
theory
women.
behind
Makes me a
this
lesbian,
lesbian
right?
dancing.
And I love to dance in my basement.
Yeah. Oh boy. What's wrong with that? You
Nothing.
can also minor in Tupac studies. So you can read Tupac lyrics and get yourself a degree in Tupac studies as well. So make
What
sure
would you
you
even
should
do
go,
with
you should
that?
go back and get that degree.
I won't deny it. I'm a straight rider.
Yeah.
What would you even do with a lesbian dance degree? I don't. It's just, you wouldn't.
Great conversation.
You wouldn't.
piece.
That's the point. It's to make you dependent on the government because everything's about control. Anyway.
Wait, whose turn is it? Sorry.
So it was still on you, but okay. So disagree with the credentials statement, but you'd agree if we changed it to degree. Would that? Yeah.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
Okay. Whitney, what do you think?
So I kind of took it as the credential piece, the original question. And I think that the thing that I took it as is society is consumed by the letters behind the name a lot. I feel like, if you have CPA behind your name, oh, you're automatically credible, right?
You're automatically smart too.
Exactly. And I think that I don't like that, and nor do I think that that's truth. That's why I agreed with this statement. I think that some of the best people I know and the most influential people I know don't have a degree or those special letters behind their name, but they do have experience, they have results and success, and they have passion. And I think that is, passion is power. And I think that's kind of why I agree with that statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Travis, go ahead.
I think that the reason why I disagree is because I still think there's more reason to have it versus not. But I really do see I think we had a statement recently where I said this too, but there's a rapid decline in need for it. And it's, I'm at the point now where, jeepers, I could probably be an MD. Just tell me what your symptoms are. I'll go on WebMD and give you a pill because I'm going to get a bonus for, giving you this specific pill, and that's just how it is. Like, what happened to all the things they had to go through and actually experience, that's a whole other conversation. But then at the same time, it's how fitting. We'll stay in the doctor topic. We work for a chiropractic, clinic here. This is a chiropractic clinic here. And I sure as hell will not want anybody adjusting my neck or specific spots, where it's a little more easy to mess something up, unless you got those letters, the DCs behind you.
Right.
So is it the exception or the rule? I don't know yet, but I'm telling you right now, there's a wonderful meme from like 20 years ago from Sixth Sense. I see dumb people. They're everywhere and they don't even know they're dumb. You're seeing more of that, unfortunately. And that's why I believe that maybe in 5 years, I'll probably change my agree or I disagree to agree, because I really do believe that it's losing credibility. It's losing the value, right? And I think that's probably what I'm really basing it on. Now that I really deep thought it there for a hot second, it's the weight doesn't hold the same.
Right. Renzo.
So I look at credentials is supposed to. So I would agree with Justin that it's got to be some part of it has to be experience, right? But it also has to be some level of understanding of what you're doing as well. So that doesn't necessarily require experience. It can require knowledge or study. And so what's happening, in my opinion, with credentials is that it's becoming subjective. So now credentials are becoming experience, and experience can be false. So for instance, and I'm going to use an example of someone's credentials, getting them way high up to the top of the ladder in this area, and it was all false. So there was a woman who she went to all the HBCUs that she could. Every historically black college invited her in, let her in. And she got in because she had this great backstory about how she was in the ghetto and in the hood. And, oh, man, seeing the drug dealers on the corner, the yo, homeboys, and they were all out there doing the thing, right? And so then she gets in, and then she becomes a part of all these different committees and groups for Negro excellence and to help black folks advance. And she makes it to the NAACP, and oh my God, she gets it to the NAACP, and she becomes the president of the Spokane chapter. And it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. This African-American woman, the first woman ever to be in charge of this chapter. And it turns out she's white. Her name is Rachel Dolezal. This is not a fictional story. This is true.
Actually, yeah.
This is true.
The last name doesn't sound very white.
You got me because my maiden name's Dolezalik.
Oh.
And my mom's name's Rachel.
Yeah, you guys are related.
So,
it's your mama.
No,
so
it's
your
not.
your
No, but like you got me. You got me.
So
for
your
like
mama
a
did
second
this.
there.
So now I'm talking to you.
No.
Your mom, Double D's mama. I dare you. So
Lost it there.
so did I. This woman did this, and there was all this backlash. People were saying, how could no one know? But she had all the necessary experience to get to the top of the Negro ladder, to be able to institute policy and discuss what blacks have gone through from her own black experience in goddamn raised by two white people. She's a blonde, natural, Caucasian, born in rural, I believe, Massachusetts or something. I don't know. But she's not born in Boston.
That is so racist to label her like that. I can't believe you.
I apologize. But this is the credentials that she had, the experience that she had was what? It was all false. Her so-called ghetto background, her so-called life that she had being a black girl, the experience that she got of being black was when she went to HBCUs and saw how black people act. So she gained knowledge about African Americans through seeing. So I guess she would have some credentials. She understood. I just said earlier she didn't understand. So there you go. I guess she had those credentials. But she claimed that she had this experience. She grew up in the ghetto. She was on welfare. Well, I'll tell you this. When she lost everything and she became a hairdresser and she had her 2 little black children, because she wouldn't marry a black man because she had to have black love, of course. And so she wouldn't have these black children. Well, she was on welfare then. Now you have the experience, bitch. Good. Now, you come back. Come back. I guess that's all you need. And so what does that say about these people who are supposed to be making policy for that group? But then let's look at the homosexuals. Same thing. There's a bunch of people who have never been persecuted for being gay, who are going around trying to explain to homosexuals about persecution of being gay. They were fine. They grew up in a household where people were like, oh, we understand. It's okay. Don't worry about it. And they went around and used someone else's plight and became successful in these groups. Same thing with Christian organizations. Same thing with hate groups, whatever the case may be. Good one, George Wallace. George Wallace, anecdotal time. Anecdotal.
There you go.
I have an uncle. He's the president of media sales at BET. He wrote a book. In his book, he talks about when he met George Wallace. When he met George Wallace told him, people don't know George Wallace was a segregationist in the South in the 1960s, 50s. George Wallace told my uncle, I'm not a racist. I just said what I needed to say to get votes. If the white people were okay with integration, integrate. If the blacks were okay with segregation too, segregate. I'm cool with whatever's gonna get me in here and have me stay. He had the credentials though, according to those people. He had all the credentials. He's a fraud though. He doesn't believe that. He hasn't experienced this. His experience is with being a sneak. His experience is with being with white people and with being with black people. But he promoted an idea to white people, stay away from them, so he could gain. And I believe that this has been the problem for a while, is that credentials have become subjective. They are no longer about the actual knowledge that you need to have or even that piece of paper behind you. And everybody at the table said the same thing. It's too much about the letters. I feel you. That's why everywhere I go, when you have to register for an event and they say, what is your title? I always put, well, I'm Dr. Lorenzo Tomas, PhD, MD, SPSD, CPA, all them shits, all of them. I want them all because I'm all them shits. Everything. Put them on there. I want it all. I just want a big fucking shit just with all of them on there. I feel you that they probably give more prestige to these people and it makes them feel, maybe they feel arrogant, but I do think that they matter because it lets me know if I'm going to see a quack or if I'm going to see somebody who's credited, right? I don't want to go and I don't want a doctor who is some motherfucker who just got out of jail and he's like, well, I just sold some niggas up in prison, so look, I can hook you up too. Absolutely not. Bobo. That's how he died. Absolutely not. But I do want the person who is credentialed. I'm hoping you coming from a good school. I'm hoping that you come from a good medical school, Northwestern, somewhere, motherfucker. I need to know where you came from. Can I talk to your doctor? Can I talk to your teacher? I want to know what kind of student you were, motherfucker, before you cut me open. What did you do in class? Chewing gum? He can't cut me open. Bullshit. Not paying attention. Too busy chewing gum. So, but I think that the credentials matter, and it's losing its credibility because we don't value these things, and because now credentials can be anything. I can walk around and say that I have credentials because my experience or because I feel this way, and people are now taking that as truth. Case in point, everybody's a goddamn political theorist ever since Barack Obama got into office. Everybody's a political theorist. Ain't nobody ever ran for office. Everybody can tell you how political funds work. Ain't nobody ever ran for office. They never raised no fucking money for no campaign, never worked behind nothing. Can't tell you nothing about that. But they all can tell you how Trump is this, Biden is that. Everybody's a political theorist. Never worked in politics. And we believe these people. Even these people on CNN, Fox News, all these people, we believe them. In the church, you'll agree with me. The motherfucker sitting up there preaching, ain't read one page of that goddamn book. Before he got up, he was like, okay. Timothy 10:2. All right, listen, let me spit this real quick because I just saw this. He don't know nothing about that book. But we put all this faith into that person that he must know because he went to he's a theologian or whatever. I mean, even with that, it's like, man, what the hell does this mean now? What are these credentials that he has to be able to tell me about this? In my opinion, theology school is a joke, and it makes credentialing look stupid because the only credentialing in faith should be you know that book.
And to your point, you look at other, let's say you want to be a doctor, or there are stupid. I went to be an athletic trainer. I found that was a horrible idea. You get paid nothing, and you work the crappiest hours when people are off of their shifts. But I'm there and I'm taking the dumbest class. I mean, I get it, gen eds. Why? I've done gen eds my whole damn life as a kid, right? Mm-hmm. I'm here to learn a specific skill. Why do I got to learn about this?
Yeah.
We know the answer,
right?
Yeah.
But we fall for it. We
You
still
take
pay
all
for it,
these
don't we?
foolish credit courses
But
so that you stay here.
I'll do lesbian dance if I can just get my degree as an athletic trainer. If that's what I got to take, I'll do it.
Right.
If I got to take sociology and this and that, even though I'm not going into that.
Well, when I was in Northern Michigan, there was an intro to leisure class. So I take intro to leisure, find out it's to be a park ranger. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you just go shadow a park ranger? Why would you need a class for this?
I agree, because not everyone learns from a book. They learn from experience.
And I'm trying to feel, I'm like, so why wouldn't the thing here be, a park ranger brings you up under, you just be an apprentice, and then you learn on the job, because this is a job where every day is not going to be the same. So what's a book going to teach you? I get it. Some days you ain't going to do shit. You probably got seasons. You don't do nothing. But you're not going to encounter all the things you need to know, leaves, trees, different types of animals. You can get that on the job. You don't have to go in the field yet, but you can get some training done in the job and get that lesson right there. And when your ass get out there and you step into some poison ivy, well, you know now. You'll be all right, but you know now. You know now. But no, there's a class for it. Because we need to make you credentialed so that you could be a park ranger.
We have to make money off of you getting rich.
And then
having to renew a license or something.
And stuff like that makes credentialing, makes degrees and make actual credentials, degree credentials, look foolish. And because of false experience, that makes experienced credentials, which is important for understanding, it makes that seem like, who do we believe, right? Who do you believe? If I tell you I was a politician and my political experience was fan-fucking-tastic, right? I had a great time. Awesome. Bitches, money, smoking cigars, at the best events, live, my dude. I was like a rapper. It was great. And then you go talk to someone else and they say, oh, man, it's so corrupt. If someone told you that, man, they're probably corrupt. Man, corrupt what? I wasn't hanging out with nobody who was doing shit. If they was doing it, I don't know nothing about that. My life was different. Why is my experience diminished for the one who says that everything is corrupt? What if the people that I was with in politics were all legit people? We had a good time. That's all it was. We had our run. It was over. Everybody's at the crib. One's a fucking pastor. We're whatever. We're all, right? Yeah. He preaching the pussy. That's what he's doing now. Yeah. so we all good, right? Why is it that my experience is no longer credentialed? Like we wouldn't say it's a credential of truth. Now it's false, or my experience is something negative. This could be all of our experience. We could all run and we could make some money and we could have a good time, and then 2 years, 3 years, we're done, right? Wow, we had a good experience.
Yeah,
it was great, right? Or we could have this experience where Larry is trying to cheat all of y'all. I get all of y'all to donate money, and then the money just comes up missing, and I blame you. And then I'm in Hawaii, and I don't know what happened to your ass. Sucks to be whatever his name, something
I
Frisk.
sent it over. I sent the money over to Ukraine, so we're good.
Well, I'm
so,
just,
so it's all fine.
either way.
So
that's-
it'll come
yeah.
back to you because
Yeah.
that's how that works. It's just a little revolving door on money.
Yeah, whatever. I go to Rotunga.
Well, the one way that I was looking at this, and we've kind of like alluded to it a little bit, is, I mean, I don't necessarily subscribe to the notion that you have to have a degree to be an expert in something. Because like how we've talked about, like that's experience and, you know, things like that. And like how do you even become an expert in something? When you really break that down, it's like, okay, those people read books and then they found someone who was ahead of them in whatever they wanted to do and they talked to them. That's not even special. It's not special to read books and go talk to people. That's all that it took. And the difference between what? The difference between people who are doing that and then the people who have a degree is, well, these people took a test at the end. And that's like the one difference. If I think about it, like if I wanted to go be a chiropractor, well, I know one in the building. And so if I went to Doc and I was like, hey, I want to be a chiropractor, can you teach me? Well, for one, he doesn't have time. But let's pretend he did. If he did, he'd be like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you should, you know, read this about anatomy and you should know this about nutrition and, you know, whatever. And maybe if there was a course, he could recommend that. But I wouldn't necessarily need a like degree or a whole lot of formal schooling because I would have the best of the best just kind of sitting there. So why wouldn't I just go talk to him about all those things? And then he could bring me to patients and be like, okay, when you're adjusting someone, you start them, you know, sitting in the chair and you check for this and this. Okay, now see here how, you know, there's a subluxation here. Can you feel that? And he could teach me. He could teach me all of that without me ever having to go get a degree. Mm-hmm. Now, like, I get what you're saying where it's like, okay, or maybe you said it, somebody said it, where it's like there's a little level of sketchiness. You want to know that the person who's cutting you open, you want to know. You said it. Yeah. You want to know that person knows what they're doing. And I wholeheartedly agree with that piece too. It's just sometimes it's like, but how much does the degree or the credential really matter then? And sometimes, maybe not when you're getting cut open, but just in general, well, you live and learn if you get scammed, right? Because that's what everybody will go to. Well, how do you know if that person's scamming you unless they, you know, have a degree or letters behind their name and stuff? It's like, well, people with degrees and letters behind their name scam you anyway. So like, how about you just always look into who you're looking to? And I think we're a little heavily conditioned to rely on those degrees or to look at those degrees as if that person is an expert, as if they are smart because they got a piece of paper from the university.
Some of the dumbest people on this planet have degrees.
Exactly. And have very prestigious
and I am not
degrees.
the only one. I'm not even talking just a bachelor. I'm talking
Doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
JD.
Masters. Like there is some people out there.
Yeah.
I'm going, there's no way. Like there's just no way.
Right.
And I scratched my head going, I am now dumber talking to you. Why did you pay attention in school? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I'm flabbergasted when I hear. That's definitely the exception. I'm not saying everyone's an idiot that goes to school. I'm just saying there's certain people I'm going.
Yeah, like there's a difference between the ones who got A's and the ones who got C's, and you want to know that the ones who got A's are the ones cutting you open.
Well. See, this is what I really think. There are degrees that are necessary for certain fields,
yeah,
right?
Like what do you? Yeah,
and you
I
don't
know
need it
this.
for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's what I'm saying. Like a theology degree, it's like all these things are watering down the importance of people who went to school to study this. I give great example: surgeons versus medical device biologic salespeople, right? So the biologic salesperson knows the process, the same surgery process as the surgeon. The surgeon knows how to cut you without killing you and completely fucking up your whole life with whatever they're doing. So let's take a simple task like an MTP fusion, which is correcting the big toe, right? It's not a big thing, right? Nobody's gonna die from this. It could have some issues with your bone, but that's it. Both of these people need to know the anatomy of the bone. The anatomy of the foot, and they need to understand how bone reconstruction works, how bone and vascularity works. They need to know this. The surgeon needs to know all the process to do the whole procedure. However, he has never seen any of these tools before that the advisement is presenting to him. So this is all brand new to him. But this is the person with the degree, right? This is the person. Now, this medical device salesman, his degree might be in roaches. The other day I was looking up roaches, right? Got a degree. Now, roaches didn't work out. He is now doing this. He got a certification from the Medical Device Sales College in Minnesota. He got his certification, and he is now sitting here telling this doctor, just 3 months ago, I was killing, man, cockroaches this big, doc. Oh, cut that guy open right there. Go ahead, break off the medial eminence. and they have to be on the same page. But one has the degree, and his degree is important. Like the fact that he went through 12 years of school and then residency, it is important because it was some things that he needed to learn. One, how to deal with patients, because they don't teach that in school. That's what residency is supposed to be for. But when he's learning how to not kill you, he's also learning how to make sure that if I do mess up, I can fix this. If this guy messes up, how I can fix this. What screws have I used in the past that I might be able to use? Because they do know how to do some of this work. Screws, plates. It's just that this system is different. That's the only thing. As soon as I get familiar with this, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, it's like the other system I used to use. But you need both of them. And one doesn't have a degree. And I don't think that the salesperson needs a degree either. They can learn the procedure and be able to tell the doctor what to do with their product. They should know that. But as far as the doctor, I want him to know how to cut me open and not kill me or endanger everybody in the room because he breaks the sterile field and he's like, oops, guess we gotta sew this motherfucker back up. I mean, I want him to know his what he's supposed to do. And I agree, there are some who are completely idiots, but I think that the problem is that certain degrees have now minimized the importance of the degree credential. The same way how my man said about experience, I believe that people have lied about their experience, falsified their experience, taken other people's experiences, and now Facebook allows you to create your own experience. AI, we're about to be living in our own experience we want to live in. I'm going to be hanging with Tupac. I don't know where y'all going to be. But when you are able to do this, it's going to create the experience credential is also being diminished.
Right.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of fraud.
What do you guys think are degrees that, like, you actually should have a degree in versus just you don't really need a degree in that, you just need to go get your experience and, like, find someone to teach you? Like, what are examples of that?
I think,
do you think?
IT and doctors are just the first two. I'm not saying they're the most valuable, but I'm saying that those are probably two.
You said IT?
IT?
I would love for, or at least, they have to help build software. Like you want someone who knows, you don't want to walk up the street and going, A, B, Z, D. Like you want, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. Like you want them to actually know what they're talking about, understand coding. That way you understand how to fix things that much quicker. Otherwise, it could be a nightmare for the people trying to work.
That's right.
Obviously, the other one, I think we just talked about, doctors. Sorry, I got a brain tumor, heaven forbid. But if I do, I don't want, the guy off the, just pull him out of the lot. Hey, come on, you want to cut my head open real quick? They got the tools. Just follow the guy's, instructions. I know I want a doctor. I would like someone who understands. So I think those are two that I would say.
When do you think that culture shifted to, let's take the doctor example, to wanting someone with a degree to cut them open? Because a couple hundred years ago, you didn't necessarily have a degree and they were cutting people. Granted, they maybe didn't know what they were doing, but when they started to figure it out, they didn't necessarily have a degree to do that, I don't think.
A couple years ago, what do you mean?
Like a couple hundred years ago.
Okay.
not a couple years ago.
A couple hundred years ago. So that would
just think of some of like the first doctors and some of the cuts and stuff that they were doing.
But still, they were certified.
Were they?
Well, yeah.
I don't actually know.
I mean, somebody had to teach them, and medicine had been around for a while. So somebody is teaching medicine. Now, it was some trial and error.
Yeah.
But they used the technology that they had at the time.
Right.
So
somebody's still teaching them, but then, somebody could just teach a surgeon, couldn't they?
I'll tell you this.
I'm just, you see the point that I'm trying to make with it?
And honestly, I believe.
Right.
But now we think it has to be the degree.
I think we've been indoctrinated in that. If you don't believe me, watch this. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that.
Hot sauce cat.
Yes!
Filthy cat.
It's just subconsciously in there. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Blech. Even though I haven't eaten there in over 10 years. But my point is this. We are indoctrinated to believe you need this. It's just who we are. And I pulled out a couple of goofy ones. But you get my point. Like, even me, if I broke my leg right now, I'm going to the hospital. I want the best doctor, and they better have a degree, and they better be an orthopedic or something, or whatever the specialist is for that, and you want the best. It's just programmed. It's programmed in us to want that.
Well, I also think you understand what's more so programmed into you is that you understand if you want to get your leg back, you want to walk again, you need to go see this person, right? Because you could easily tell Sarah, hey, tourniquet my leg up, cut me open, set my bone, and just cast me back up. That's all he's gonna do, right? That's all the doc's gonna do. They're gonna give you some anesthesia, put you to sleep. They're gonna tourniquet your legs so that there's no blood flow going to the legs so that they can cut you open without it bleeding crazy. And then they're gonna take care, set your bone, probably put some rods in there, do something to set it, and then they're gonna put a cast on you, and then you're gonna heal. So you could easily have Sarah do that for you, and you don't need a doctor. But I mean,
anybody kind of could make you a cast. I mean,
I would be a great anesthesiologist. Like, hey, Deanna, is this my chloroform to you? I mean, I got this. I can do this, man.
oh man.
I'm just saying, but I think that's what's more ingrained in us is that you understand. While yes, somebody else probably could do this, it's best to go to Bellin or St. Vincent's and get this shit done by an actual
But
ortho.
is that because they have the experience and the expertise and the reps,
Right.
or is it because they have a degree?
That's, I think, the big question.
That's where
is-
it's coming down to. Because I would never do it because I don't like needles and blood and any of that shit. But like, I could learn how to cut someone open too. If I put enough reps in, I could be just as good.
It's probably the degree, because what makes people go to a new doctor, right? Somebody who's new. He don't have the reps. Like fresh out of fucking residency, 28.
They just don't tell you. He doesn't have the reps.
He's some kid. He's like, yeah, I'm fresh from Canada.
Yeah, Madonna.
I was in Vancouver just hanging out. And then they're like, and now he's here. So what makes people go to that person, right? It has to be the degree, right? Or maybe there's nothing else.
But then are we just conditioned to look for the degree? Because arguably that guy doesn't have any experience. So why should we trust him?
Well,
we trust him because of a degree? That's kind of silly.
Well, I guess in those variables, we don't really know the whole situation, because
Well,
it could
I wanna see
it could be.
his work
I mean,
too.
it could be other variables in that. Like maybe this is a new doctor in an area where there are no doctors, so you have no choice but to go with this particular doctor. He's the new doctor.
Yeah,
that's it.
there's that.
So this is who you got. So he's gonna be fucking up on some people, and some people are gonna be like, hell yeah, he's great. So
I want to fall into the hell yeah, he's great category.
hopefully hip surgeries, not so much, but doing MTP fusions, yeah, I'm back jumping around. Look.
Whitney, what do you got? You were taking some notes.
Yeah. So I think that most of us at this table could probably agree that we've had a dumb doctor here or there, right? I think that that's a pretty common thing right now. And I just think that the degree is important, and I don't want to discount that at all, because like Travis said, if you're going to get your spine adjusted or your neck adjusted, heck, that person better know what they're doing. But you can go to school and get that degree, but do you actually know what you're doing? I think like the expertise comes from the reps. And I think that what makes you credible is the expertise along with that degree and the reps that you have with it.
Yeah.
Bingo, because
reps really matter.
not everyone's going to absorb information the same way.
Right.
So example, he might be able to read a book and just have it, maybe have a photographic memory. I don't know. And you lock it in. I'm struggling for dear life to absorb what I just read, even though I read it 3 times and I was thinking about something else. But then I get on site to wherever I work, and all of a sudden I'm absorbing like he was when he was reading.
Right.
And now we kind of balance out. And I think obviously the correct answer is, if you're the person that can be book smart and you can take advantage of being hands-on smart and do both at the same time, that's the ideal situation. But that's not how we all learn. Not everyone has both.
Right. Well, Dana, let me ask you this. And so in the holistic field, right? So they are now trying to give out degrees for that. Is that,
Yeah, like you can be like a naturopathic doctor.
so does that necessarily need a degree?
the doctor piece of it is, but like I don't have a degree in what I do. My degree in life was in accounting and business management.
But do you think that that's necessary for people to get a degree in that field?
In like what I do? No,
Yes.
not necessarily. And different states are always different too. Wisconsin is they call it like a safe state where like a lot of people can call themselves health coaches without having to like go through a bunch of training or anything like that. Other states, it's like, you know, what, depending on what you want to call yourself, there are more rules that you would have to follow, which is just like a whole other discussion, I guess. But like, no, I didn't have to go to school for what I do. I did like an online program that got me the base of knowledge that I needed. So like I'm a pretty good example of this. I did do an online program where I did take a test at the end. It wasn't a degree, so right, it's a certification. And that's what got me the base of knowledge that I needed to for like health and digestion and like just very basic things to be able to understand health. But then what did I do? I traveled around the country going to seminars that were taught by a chiropractor who developed the technique that I wanted to do. I went to those and just learned from the person who was doing it. And then it was reps of over and over and over again, because I do muscle testing in practice, and you don't learn that in a weekend at all. You learn that over many, many, many times, and then you still think you can't do it, and then you keep practicing it, and then you finally learn it. I'm sure chiropractors go through that same thing when they're first learning to adjust. And then, well, my situation's kind of funny because in the middle of when I was going to a lot of those seminars is when COVID happened. So they were not in person anymore. They were going to be online, and that's just, I can't even. And so then I found a one-on-one mentor who is 10 years ahead of me to be able to one-on-one teach me exactly what I need to know for practice, to teach me the specific situations, to teach me like, oh, well, when you see this come up, it's normally this, or, how else would I ever know that, if someone has sinus issues, it tends to be the liver because the liver backs up to the sinuses, or when someone has ear issues, it tends to be the kidneys because the kidneys back up to the ears. How else would you ever know that unless you had people helping you along the way? So that's how I practice, and I just learned by reps and going out and doing it. But again, it was reading books and talking to people. It wasn't going to school and taking a test at the end, although I had a little bit of that. But that's my experience, and that's what's going on in terms of, arguably, a number of health coaches. And then you can argue, well, is that good or bad? Because then you don't really know what you're getting. So then it's, well, the results have to speak for themselves. And so I've helped a whole lot of people, and my business pretty much runs on word of mouth. So when I get people coming in and a friend of a friend told them to come in, I'm like, all right, well, I must be making my rounds, because if it's not even someone who's seeing me is telling you to come in, that means something.
So I guess I'll ask this. So with all that said, is success the best credential?
Oh, that's a good
Well, that
way.
means someone's got to go first.
Oh.
If you're a doctor, all right, I'm going to be successful, but who's going first? So there is that kind of, you know what I mean? Think about that for a second. All right, this guy's successful. Is or is going to be? Where is that? It's kind of a loaded thought. Do you want to be that first patient? You want to be patient zero?
Well, you just mean in general.
I mean,
like
in general.
If you,
in general.
I mean, in general, like, is success credentials? Like, so if you are a doctor, and like, so there was, even out here, Dr. Anderson was like the best ortho there was, right? The Packers, Richard Sherman, everybody, right? So, getting in front of him to get some product, tough. But this guy is the best. What makes him the best? I'm sure he's messed up somewhere, right? I'm sure at some point he messed up on somebody. But it's the fact that word of mouth is he's the best. So is success the in the end the number one credential? That's it. It's success. It doesn't matter whether it's
really
experience or if it's the book knowledge, because what you just said to me is you didn't get a degree. However, you got training from a book. So you basically got a degree. You just didn't go through all
I didn't
the
take a test.
rigmarole to get.
I didn't put my cap and gown on at the
Right.
end.
But if they had gave you a test, you probably would have passed it. And so then we would have known, okay, because we have a piece of paper that Dana is qualified to. She's qualified.
I'm qualified.
The paperwork says she got an A. There you go.
Right.
So it's like, okay.
Well, and like, look at some of the most successful people who are even out there. And first of all, nobody even cares what their degree is in, and whatever the degree is in probably like doesn't even matter. I mean, think about like an Ed Milet, who like he is known for motivational speaking, but his original driver vehicle Oh, he was. I can't remember what it was. He was in an MLM though, wasn't he? And so okay. Well, first of all, you don't need a degree to do that, right? Because that's just selling. And so he was able to build that up, and then ultimately build into everything that he has now. But he doesn't have a degree in what he does, but he's wildly successful. I think the same is true about Andy Frisella. Does he even have a degree? I don't even remember if he has a degree, but he has built multiple companies based on what he knows. He's also known for like his mental toughness program, and he's known for 75 Hard, and then he's known for being a motivational speaker also. But again, those things aren't degrees, but they're wildly successful.
Right.
So success probably is your ultimate
What do you
measure.
all think is success? The ultimate credential.
Ultimate credential.
Yeah.
So I got a personal story to share on this one, and I can't hold it in anymore because my mom passed away 2 years ago from ovarian cancer, and we went doctor to doctor to the best. Nobody would take her. Her tumor was too big. We don't want to operate on that because it's probably not going to be successful. So doctors were turning her down at some of the most prestigious hospitals because they knew that was going to go against them. Right. So to me, those people with credentials who we're trusting and putting our faith in, like, are they really there for the people like they're supposed to be? So I think like the most successful people are not always the ones that have those letters behind their name. But like one doctor took my mom on just because she wanted to try. Like she was like, this was her last leg, right? So she went for that, even though it could go against her. Like she was there for the people and for my mom. And I think that a lot of times, and I'm not discounting degrees at all, but I just think that those letters don't always mean that you're with the best or with the expert.
Well, yeah, if you're picking and choosing your victories, it's like the Packers wanting to play the Bears every week,
Right.
versus the rest of the league. I'm gonna wait until we play the Bears again, or whatever team is bad that year, the Browns or.
But I think there's a lot of standards too, like, doctors might be the exception that we're talking about, but there's standards that every doctor goes through, right? Like they have to check on this, and this. They're checking your vitals as soon as you go in because they have to do that.
I didn't even know. This is gonna sound cheesy. This is where one of the few times in life where movies actually are good. I watched Doctor Strange like 5-6 years ago whenever it came out. He was picking and choosing who he was going to do work on to make him look better. And then you just mentioned that and made me think of that. And it's like, yeah, you're right. You can kind of pad the stats a little bit, by picking and choosing who you work on.
Right.
And that. So is that successful? Or are you just smart, or a little bit of both? Or so I'm thinking about it going, I don't care if you're the best and I'm dying of something, or someone I love is dying, and you're the only chance I might have because nothing else seems to be working.
Right.
Take a chance.
Right. So I think it's how do we define that success is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, success could be different for everybody.
Well, I mean that's true. Kamala Harris is like one of the most successful prosecutors that there was in California. Some of those cases are very finicky. So I guess what is success, right? She is one of the most successful. So does that make her the success, the ultimate credential? Does she know that position? I'm sure many of us at this table would say she doesn't. Maybe she does know. Maybe that's why she was able to get away with so much. Maybe the reason why that doctor is accredited and so high is because he doesn't take cases that he knows he's not going to be successful.
And is that right or wrong? And that's the question we have to ask. Is it right or wrong to do that? I'm sorry. I would like to try to help a human especially if I'm the last potential chance, even though the chances are small.
Right.
I think we need to really consider that.
And what's unfortunate with doctors is that because it's such a small network, right? If the best doctor says no, then 9 times out of 10, the second best doctor is going to be like, well, what did that doctor say, right? And he may not ask you, but he may call a nurse. What did he? She told me that he came for this case. What is this? He said no. Oh, I'm not taking this. If he's not going to take it, I'm not going to take it. Right? I'm number 2. He's number 1. And then you get to number 5, and they're like, "Well, what did number 3 say?" I'm only focused on number 3. Fuck number 1. He's too far ahead. What number 3 say? Oh hell no, I ain't taking that.
Yeah.
Or you know what? I want to be number 1. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but that's
but
a pretty big
but-
limiting belief to get over, though.
Right, but I'm saying, but that person, once they do that, okay? So once they do that, once number 18 takes that leap and they become successful, right? Let's say that they do it and they're like successful. Is that now the ultimate credential for them? Like, do we now say, oh, they're the best?
Since we're kind of leaning on doctors, because you brought up, my mom, sorry to hear that, by the way. I think that there should be, instead of calling them number one doctor or surgeon, like, hey, how about this? Create a column, maybe knee surgeries, kidney surgeries, heart ablations or whatever they're called, or have a column of success rate in general instead of,
Like an
just
overall.
one lump sum. I'm not even sure. Maybe they do that. I don't know. I haven't been to the hospital, thank the Lord, in over a decade. But I think there should be a different, more is comprehensive the right word, type of information given. That way, it's not just so cut and dry.
So it'll be the same thing in law, right? In everything, though, it's all about the number of practices, right? Practice attempts versus wins. Versus successful outcomes. Whatever, if it's not a win, successful outcomes, right? So even in factories are not concerned about how many things were deficient because they're concerned about product that went out, the output. That determines success. That would determine what company is going to be the most successful is based on output, product. So all I'm saying is this. I'm asking this. Would success be the ultimate credential? Would that be the ultimate measure? And because I understand the story with this person, but I also feel as though because those people had that status of the most of the best, their credentials of success made them become cowardly. The one who takes the leap, when they actually, and I know we didn't, so now we're going into hypothetics, unfortunately. But if the one who took the leap, if they had took the leap and the surgery was successful, well then wouldn't that surgery and that successful outcome, wouldn't that be the ultimate credential for us to now say that person they're really, really, forget the best, they're really, really good. I'm going to go to them.
So then that person becomes successful ultimately then because of reps. Mm-hmm. So it's still about putting in the reps to get successful.
Right. Right.
Which then you can still say that success could be the ultimate measure.
Right. So then I guess in that sense, then the credentials do matter. And I'm going to have to say I disagree. Because
Mic
credentials
drop.
do matter. Because if credentials are success, then they obviously do matter.
But is it the credentials or just the outcome?
Well, success would be the credential, right? Because the outcome
because you're saying
the
because
outcome
the credential is now your success.
Yeah,
Okay,
the outcome is the credential. It proves that
I get
I
what
did
you're
everything
saying.
I needed to do to be successful. Mm-hmm. Justin, I
There
think
you go.
were going to say something.
Yeah, because
The credential versus the degree piece.
I found that interesting, Lorenzo, when you brought up, lawyers, practices, and I see all these commercials with injury lawyers. Mm-hmm. It says, if I don't win, you don't pay. And all of a sudden, they're bringing up all these success stories about getting people to making millions and such like that. Mm-hmm. Well, how many cases did you lose? Well, they don't matter because those people didn't have to pay.
Right.
So they're just basically just bringing up all their successes while not bringing in their failures. So they may have a 5% success rate or a 50% success rate.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
very true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That is a really good
Yeah,
point.
and injury lawyers probably have the lowest success rate.
Oh, man. Well, we're probably about ready to wrap up. And the main thing I'm probably taking away from this is if you want to skip dinner with your in-laws, maybe you should just find a doctor who doesn't know what they're doing. Then they can mess you up and you don't even have to go. That's what I'm taking away from you. That's my way of wrapping it into a bow. I'm not good at wrapping it into a bow. That's like my one attempt.
Wait. I wrote it here.
Oh.
Ask Dana a question. Where is your
My PSBC tip of the day.
bitches stop being crazy?
Oh, man. Oh, shoot. I didn't think of one for today. The bitches stop being crazy tip of the day is if your husband is busy working and he is not able to go to holidays or dinner with your in-laws, then you just let him be and you make his life as easy as possible so that he can go out and win and provide for your family, because that's ultimately what needs to happen, because your family is more important than your extended family. How about that? It's very sensible.
And then he will become a success and he will be credentialed.
And that's the most important. There we go. All right, let's do any final thoughts. If there's anything that you guys wanted to say that you didn't get to say about either topic, about anything that you want to, you can go ahead and do that now. If you want to plug your business and all that stuff again, please make sure you do that. Justin, go ahead. Anything else that you want to say today?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be on this show. I'm very blessed to be here. I had a great time. I loved everybody's perspectives and such. And also, I just want to promote the business I have right now, Happy Home Remodeling. We're out of New London, Wisconsin. We've been around since 2017. We do work, anything exterior, interior. If you need houses, distressed houses to buy, call us. HappyHomeRemodeling.pro is the website, and please check us out. And we do work from Green Bay all the way down to Fond du Lac along the Highway 41 Panhandle.
Awesome. Whitney, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It was a blast, and I think that, just to say, we all have to be okay with speaking our minds, and I think our culture sometimes puts people down for speaking their mind, but like tonight was so fun just to hear everybody's perspective and just knowing that it's okay to not always agree with what everybody has to say all the time, I think is really important. So thanks for having me. If you ever need a virtual assistant, Whitney Schmaus Business Collab, reach out. Love to help you out.
Awesome. Travis.
First off, I want to thank you both for being on here. That's awesome. I think everyone should experience this in some way, shape, or form, because I believe this is a wonderful structure that Doc and Dana put together, because the ability to talk, wait for the person to finish, that's something that we don't have anymore. I think people just talk louder, to win the voice, the noise versus the argument that's at hand. So I think this is so thank you guys for being on here and contributing. And back to the degree thing, I'll just finish it with this. It's, I'm a believer in Christ, and I believe that, fearing the Lord is number one, but number two is to get wisdom. So it doesn't have to come in the form of degree. It can come in the form of experience. We're all created differently. We all have our different gifts. And as long as we're not keeping our hands idle, we're actually trying to do something to help promote society in a better place, I think we're going to be in good shape. So you have to decide what you want to do with your destiny, with your future, and that's up to you. But I choose to keep learning. I get bored. And I hope you all feel the same. Hopefully everybody has enough conviction to keep learning, because eventually you'll learn that the government and the news don't care about what you think. They want you to believe what they want you to believe. You need to be educated enough. You have to have enough wisdom. Like, I look at Larry over here. He'll sniff out BS in a heartbeat. Why? It's not because he sat on his hands. He actually got work. He went to work and tried to learn things. And if we do that more in society, I think what's happening out there, it's not going to have nearly the impact, because we're just not going to believe it, and because we have the wisdom ourselves. So do we have to get a degree to be smart? No. But does it help in certain areas? Yes. You have to decide that for yourself.
Awesome. Lorenzo.
I just want to make sure that it's clear that I changed my agree to disagree.
Yes, it's
I just
clear.
Want to make sure that
it's clear.
Okay.
Okay. So unless I change the statement from credential to degree, then we all,
Oh, then we all, no.
Then we all agreed, didn't we?
I don't.
Basically.
No.
No.
Let's just keep
okay,
it with
we're not going to go
credential.
back. Okay, credential.
I changed my agree to disagree. So
yes, you are
I just want to make sure that we're clear.
You are clear. Yep, I'll add it to the tally sheet.
Yeah, add it to the tally sheet. I want a full detailed analysis of all of the agrees and disagrees from everyone with a
I would say I will send it along with the photo that I take of us at the end. That goes nowhere.
Anyway, I think this was great. I enjoyed this episode very much so. You already know I was very upset because I was mad about something that happened today. But anyway, let me tell you, these people.
Nope. You're just good. We're going to keep you good.
So make sure you guys go and check out Random Things You Need to Know. It is at YouTube, SoundCloud. That's Jesus. That's oh my lord.
That's where your music is.
Oh my lord. So anyway,
SoundCloud.
Jeez,
Did I hear a Niner in there?
Yeah, I was getting ready to start advertising music and go right into full rapper mode. So make sure you guys go and check out Random Things You Need to Know. Good episodes up. There's an episode up today about racism towards Caitlin Clark, and I think yesterday's episode was about the eclipse and the red heifers that are coming on Passover. You be prepared. It's coming. So and it's not good. I tell you, it's not good. You better look it up. And so with that said, make sure you guys go check that out and follow us at YouTube. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys, especially as guests, for being here tonight and taking time away from your family just to come and have a conversation with us. Because like I said, at the beginning, we want to bring people around a table and talk to them, because that's how you really affect and change culture. And this podcast isn't just a podcast and a weekly thing that we do. It's something that we're using to affect and change culture, because then other things that we care about, like politics, can come downstream from there. So there's a much bigger plan behind this than just sitting around a table and having some fun every week. So we're really glad that you're here, Larry. I haven't called you Larry in a long time. Oh, Lorenzo. I was thinking Travis, and then I started to say Larry. I don't know, whatever. Lorenzo, Travis, thank you guys for being here and always having your great commentary, too.
Thank you, too.
Everybody, thank you for watching online tonight. It has been great having you. Please make sure that you are commenting, liking, and subscribing to our channel. Remember that we don't run ads on the show on purpose, so please help us out by sharing the show with everyone you know. Remember that Doc's new book, I Still Disagree, is out right now. You can get the Kindle form on Amazon until the paperback is back, and then the paper book is still available at thewellnessway.com. Don't forget about Leadership and Longevity, which is Memorial Day weekend. You can purchase those tickets for only $50 to come in person to the KI Center in Green Bay at leadershipandlongevity.com, and virtual tickets are also available. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night, and we will see you next week.